To our Bridgeways webinar. During this webinar, we will be giving you an overview of our LAMP stack. My name is Jonah with the Bridgeways team. I'm delighted to be joined by Dave Neal. He's with our engineering department.
Hello, everyone.
For today's demo, we'll be doing an overview of our LAMP stack, which includes our Bridgeways management packs for Apache HTTP, MySQL, as well as Microsoft Linux NP that is available within Operations Manager. We're going to be presenting how you can monitor your entire architecture with a single pane of glass view. We'll also be showing you our monitoring highlights, and we'll be focusing on performance monitoring. And Dave will be showing you a live demo of our LAMP stack management packs, which, like I said earlier, include our Apache HTTP management pack, our MySQL management pack, and also Microsoft Linux management pack, which is included with Operations Manager. After the demo, we'll be answering any sales-related questions you may have. We want to try to keep it to sales-related questions because everyone's environment is so different. If you have a specific technical question, it's probably going to pertain to your environment, so just send us a note with the attendee control panel, and we can answer it offline or set up a one-on-one time to discuss the questions. This way we can give you a more in-depth, detailed answer for your environment. At Bridgeways, we have an entire suite of management packs, allowing for a single pane of glass view, which lowers the total cost of ownership by integrating seamlessly into the Operation Manager console. There's absolutely no new training required to achieve centralized monitoring within Operations Manager. Some of our best-selling management packs include VMware, Oracle DB, and MySQL management pack, which Dave will be demoing later in the presentation. And with that, I'm going to be handing the presentation over to Dave.
Hi, everyone. My name's Dave Neal. I'm with the engineering team. Today we're going to be looking at the LAMP monitoring, in particular Linux application, Linux and Apache and MySQL. P, of course, it being the programming language behind it, like PHP and Perl, for instance. Obviously, we don't monitor those, but we monitor the services that make up your LAMP stack. Your LAMP stack may be virtualized or a mixture of running on bare iron, if you will, or a virtualized environment. Either way, our management packs and Operations Manager can monitor your entire LAMP stack. In particular, we all know that there are vast majority of websites out there are running on Linux and Apache, and of those, a huge number of them are LAMP implementations. So getting key critical insight as to how that is performing is part of what the System Center Operations Manager can do for you. In particular, if you're already running it and maybe you haven't taken full aspects of what you could use your Operations Manager for. So, one of the things our management packs do, though, they also help you resolve issues, and we can generate reports. We integrate seamlessly within Operations Manager. We just basically import the management pack and install the agents, the Apache and MySQL agents, for instance, and Linux agents natively on your Linux platforms, be they Red Hat or SUSE, etc. The architecture of the management packs is pretty straightforward. You have your Operations Manager servers, and then from there you're going to take providers and install them, deploy them, if you will, to your Linux servers that are running either Apache and or MySQL. From there, the provider collects the information from the Apache hosts and or for MySQL from the Apache MySQL instances or servers, sends that information back to the SCOM server via OMI if it's 2012 R2 or the older CMI protocol if it's prior to 2012 R2. On that note, we support System Center 2007 R2 all the way up through 2012 R2. It's upgrades. So again, the full range of support there with our management pack. Basically, the monitoring highlights of what we're going to go over today. I'm going to show you some of the most important parts and pieces to get a good view of how your LAMP stack is performing. And thing with monitoring the performance, it's going to assist you in being more proactive. We have all the various components in SCOM, such as dashboards and monitoring views, graphs, reports, everything you need to be able to get a good insight as to how your system is performing, particularly with these three major components. And now I'll be setting up for a live demo.
As Dave prepares for the live demo, I want to take this time to remind everyone that during the demo, you may submit any questions you may have using the attendee control panel. And after the demo concludes, we'll be answering any of those questions.
All right, everyone. So right now, I think you should all be able to see my second screen here with running the Ops Manager. And this is the System Center Ops Manager console. Some of you may not be familiar with it, so I'm just going to briefly go over what you're seeing here. To the left, you're going to see the monitoring tree view, basically all the, if you will, management pack components that are able to be monitored, be it your Apache web servers, your JBoss implementations, MySQL implementations, or Linux. Whatever you've imported within Operations Manager to be monitored will show up here. In our case, we're going to be concentrating on Apache and MySQL and Linux today, so you can see these are the three components that I've got sort of highlighted here. Right off the bat, every one of these management packs come with like high-level dashboards, and you can get a nice overview of your systems and all the subcomponents of those systems with these high-level diagram dashboards. And we'll look at the Linux. We'll start from the bottom up, shall we say, and looking at the state of your LAMP stack. So right off the bat, you can see there's critical views that show up in the middle of your Operations Manager console, and then to the far right, you're going to see tasks limited. So when I select a particular monitor component here in the left tree, the view changes and the task list changes. So these tasks are context sensitive, if you will, meaning these tasks act on something that shows up in the middle of your screen here in the view mode. For the Linux management packs, this is Microsoft Management Pack that is available within Operations Manager. So when you have Operations Manager, you can deploy your Linux management packs for your various Linux systems, Red Hat, SUSE, whatever particular Linux variant you're using. And it looks at the overall top-level components that make up that Linux system. So right off the bat, we're going to get some, what's the server state of those particular Linux operating systems, and you can see they're going to be showing up as either critical, red, yellow, meaning a warning, green is healthy, or if they're not connected to Ops Manager, in other words, maybe you've disconnected them or turned off a particular monitor, they'll show up as gray. A little bit on that gray view you're seeing here in the middle. Basically, you can override a monitor. All these various components can be overridden, turned off, or in some case customized but with overrides. So that is one important aspect to know management packs. And all our management packs, our Apache, MySQL, and other management packs we provide have the same capabilities. So for Linux, again, we look at the network adapters, your operating systems, the physical disks, various other components. If you see a bit of a lag here, folks, don't worry, it's just because we are doing a webinar, this is going out over the network, so there's a bit of a lag, and that's not necessarily anything to do with the actual Operations Manager performance. In the case of this, if you'll notice here, there's a blank look in this physical disk state. That's simply because our particular Linux OS at this point is a VM, virtualized machine. So obviously there's not going to be a physical disk associated with it. But if you were running this on a server, it would show up here. So when you see things of this nature, it just means that it could be a virtualized component, or you just turn the monitor off. I can look at my logical disk capacity here. Very good idea how that is load is working. So here you can get some really good views as to how well your memory is performing within your operating system, your Linux operating system, the overall memory utilization. Again, it's taking some time drawing, but here you get a good view of that. And again, physical disk performance, if this was actually on a physical machine, you'd see that, and the processor performance. There we go. Again, and you can select down here, if you notice in the bottom of the center view, you can select the various computers that you want to check, the various Linux servers. You can If there's, obviously if you had dozens and dozens of these, you might want to be selective, but you can page down through this, scroll down through this and check the various performance metrics. Now, one of the things here with every one of these views, these graph views, you can select a time range and adjust this, give yourself a better historical perspective, especially when you're noticing there seems to be a pattern when, for instance, up here, you'll notice there's a bit of a spike right here. It just happens to be where we are. You may want to look and see if that spike is happened at the same time of day, maybe over the series of several days. So you can just check to see if there's a particular pattern taking place for memory, network outages, anything. That's always a handy feature to have. And we can see that, oh, nope, that spike was singular in this case. So again, most of the popular Linux distributions are supported with this management pack. Red Hat, SUSE in particular, as we mentioned, and Debian and Ubuntu. The next piece that we'll look at in the LAMP stack here is we'll go up and look at the Apache web server. So Apache web server is fairly straightforward with what you want to be looking at as far as the monitoring components. So we're going to look and see what web servers we have running. We have these high-level dashboards. There I can see in this particular case I have a web server and it is appearing healthy and everything seems to be fine. Now I have various websites that may be running on that server, so I'm going to see how are my sites doing. Again, everything seems to be very good in this case. Things are looking good. I don't see any problems. And now I'll start looking at the web server itself to see how it's running. I can look at the number of connections and requests on that particular server. That gives me sort of a nice, and I can see, any trending there. And again, as I mentioned before, as with the Linux views, again, you can select a time range here and adjust this accordingly. Go right back in time and see exactly if there's any particular patterns to the loads that you may be looking at. So again, a very good tool to utilize and see if there's any particular problems appearing. One little tip, if you are seeing little spikes here and there and you think it could be an issue of a virtualization issue, could be a networking issue, you can start drilling down using SCOM into the other various management pack components that may be involved and seeing if there's any correlation between what you're seeing here and what you may be seeing there. So it's a great tool to narrow down when problems are happening and where they're happening. So again, that's one of the strengths of Operations Manager, is to be able to, if you will, tie together and search where particular problems may be occurring. Again, for the response times, you can go right down into the site level also. We've broken it down into website response times. So you can look at your web server as a whole, or web servers, and your websites also to see how that's going. And again, as I'll say it one more time, you can always select a time range here and see if there's any kind of patterns that may be coming up. So pretty straightforward. It's something that is, you will want to see here. If you start seeing any spikes, the next thing you want to do in your LAMP stack perhaps is start looking over here at the MySQL piece of it, because obviously, that's the MySQL piece, and your PHP scripts are doing a lot of work in the background, serving up a lot of data, information, content, etc. So the MySQL part is critical in its performance, and that one we have covered quite well. So again, we're going to give you some high-level dashboards to get a quick overview of how things are going. Just you want to make sure everything seems to be running fine. And we're going to go, whoops, let's go to the database dashboard here. Again, if you see a blank screen, it just means the monitor may have been turned off for whatever reason. Here in this case, you can see the various databases that are running on that instance of the MySQL deployment, various databases that have been created on this particular server. And we can check the server level too to see, okay, how is the server that's running those databases doing? Oh, we've got a problem. Now, when you get into this, you see a critical alert here. You want to know, okay, what is that problem? And we'll give a sort of a detailed view here of what the alert is. Beyond that, we can get into knowledge base articles. And for those of you that are familiar with Operations Manager, you know that it comes with a very extensive set of knowledge base articles. Our management packs, Apache, MySQL, or any of our other management packs also have a very rich set of knowledge base articles for all the monitors that are included. Now, these knowledge base articles all have a explanation as to what the alert is, what caused the alert, and most importantly, how to fix it. In many cases, we also have one last section here for further information. That would maybe be another website somewhere where we go into greater details as to what may have caused it, or if you just want to know some more information about this particular aspect. If it's so, like I said, many of our other knowledge base articles include that section. So that would be a very handy. This Health Explorer can't be underestimated as to its importance, because it really does allow you to communicate, find out how to fix the problem, basically looking at what could have caused it, how to fix it, but also this is great information to pass along in the, if you will, the information exchange that goes on within your organization. Is, what are you going to do about it? What's the problem? And you can, basically pass that information along. Great stuff to have. And again, all the management packs and all their monitors have knowledge base articles. Getting back into the more particulars of the MySQL, again, as I said, we have the high-level dashboard. So you're talking about the server, the databases, and the tables that make up inside those data. We'll look at some tables here, a quick overview of how that's going. My request, there we go. And everything's looking pretty good. I'm going to scroll down just to make sure here. Everything is healthy. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but again, over here on the far left-hand side, the tasks have been changing every time I select a different component, if you will, on the far left-hand side. So over here on the far right-hand side, the tasks have been changing. Now we start getting into the performance, more the performance views. So there's high-level dashboards, and then we get into the performance views for MySQL. So all the management packs, by the way, have the same type of layout. High-level dashboard, and then performance views, where you start drilling down into particular metrics of a system that you're looking at. So in the case of MySQL, of course, you're going to be looking at various important metrics, your cache, your queries, etc., that type of thing. So here, let's look at the query cache ratio. Usually a nice indication as to exactly how well that thing is using its cache to deliver content, if you will, access content, instead of accessing disk and going through the actual physical database itself. And again, handy little tool, let me go back and see if there's been any other pattern here of where it may have been overloaded. Just for a moment, I'll say if you are running in a virtualized environment, and chances are a great many of you are, this is where, again, you really want to look at that. You want to say, oh, okay, I've gotten a spike here, got a spike 3 days ago. What's going on here? Why am I getting this at a particular time of day? It could be your virtualized environment. It could be something that's happening at that level. So again, you may want to check that out. It could be a network issue, but chances are if you're running in a virtualized environment, it's something on that level that's causing some performance issues. So I just want to make note of that for you. Again, you can look at the number of active connections, all the various important metrics. Again, you can look at it over a specific period of time. And if you have more than one here, this is all color-coded. You can change the color of these things if I want to. Change the scale, change the color, anything of that nature here. So again, Those of you familiar with SCOM already know that, but for those of you who are new to it, it just makes it a little clearer for you to see how you can do things. You can check for slow queries. Things are going. Again, now here you'll notice, I click on this one because you see the green circle with no content. That simply means we have that monitor turned off. We're not monitoring that piece. And again, you can do that through an overrides rule. Go on to your administration here and you click on overrides to override your that particular rule, or make a custom rule, if you will, that I don't want this showing up time or within a certain threshold. So again, in this case, we're just not monitoring that aspect of it. Stored engine state, again, we just happen to have that monitor turned off. Now we can look at our table state here. See how things are doing there. Again, everything looks nice and healthy. We're not seeing any problems. So that when you're looking at Linux, Apache, and MySQL, those three components are the building blocks of your LAMP stack, and they all tied together. And as I mentioned previously, if you are running in a virtualized environment, that is yet again one more piece of the puzzle that you should probably be watching. If you're not, you're running on a straight server, then you pretty well got yourself covered here by looking at your Linux, your Apache, and your MySQL management pack performance and monitoring aspects of it. Now, every one of these management packs comes with reports. I'll just flip over here to the reporting part. And as you can see here, I've listed all the reports that came with all the management packs, but here's Apache. We'll click on that, and we'll look and you can see we ship with about seven important reports that give you that high-level view of how things are going. I have one pre-generated, and again, Apache Web Server Capacity Planning Report. And the beauty of this type of thing is just to see how loaded, if you will, that particular server is over a period of time, and see if you're going to need to bring maybe more sites online, increase the capacity of your particular host that Apache web server may be running on. Perhaps you need to be looking at even the MySQL component of it. There's various things that can affect your website performance. In this case, we're looking at traffic and the number of connections. So you want to keep that well within a scope, a certain scope. I can show you briefly here when you're generating one of these. I'll just open it up. And you can select your date range that you want to look at, various date ranges here, and then your basically you want to add whatever component you want. So I can go Apache, for instance, here, and do a search. It's going to go out and look for anything that is an object that has Apache associated with it. Or HTTPD, if you're called it that, whatever you're. So I can go in here and start looking at the various parts or pieces that are relevant to a site-specific implementation, and just choose that. Just go add, and then OK, and then I would hit my run. Some of these can take a while to run, depending on what you're looking at and the extent of time that you're looking at them for. You can also, do a little bit of formatting here, and also change the some of the values. So again, all the reports, this is a standard SCOM interface, if you will, for generating reports. And when you're generating a report, there's sometimes a little confusion over do I add an object, do I add a group, what is it I do here? At the bottom, you'll notice we explain exactly how to fill out the report. So you can see it's very, in this case, it was add a group, open up your Apache website user experience report, tells you basically how to generate that report. Now, reports are really handy for trending analysis. They really are a nice, nothing like having that if you will, physical copy in your hand to understand what's going on, but also interdepartmental or inter-team communication. Reports are great tools for making a case, if you will, on, yes, I do need that extra memory, or I do want this extra server, or we're going to have to, plan for this X, Y, or Z scenario. So again, reports are very handy tools to have. Again, as I explained, all our management packs come with knowledge base articles. There's a few more here I'll just bring up just to show you. Again, some are, in this case too, you can filter out healthy and unhealthy. You probably know that already if you're using Health Explorer, but things that are monitored or not monitored. By default, most of the time it's unhealthy monitors that are appearing because you really don't want to be overloaded with too many monitors showing up in your Health Explorer. It's a handy thing to have. Now, I'll just briefly go back. We'll go back to the monitoring here. So we pretty much, like I said, covered your entire Linux LAMP stack. And again, using Ops Manager as a tool to be able to trace down where problem areas are appearing or where they could appear is what Operations Manager is really, really good at. It can help you really narrow down problem, bottleneck areas, etc. So again, a handy, handy tool to have to maintain your LAMP stack. So at that, I'll hand it over to Jonah and for any questions we might have.
All right, I have a question here. How is licensing determined for the MySQL management pack? Licensing is determined on a per instance basis, and Dave, do you want to give a more technical explanation on this?
Yeah, you can have a server running but several instances of that server. So what we do is we license it by the instance. And it's basically, with MySQL or anything else, we usually follow the model of the service that we're monitoring. So if in the case of Oracle, it would be by the instance, or if it was VMware, it would be by the socket. So if you understand the licensing mechanism of what you have, MySQL or VMware, or etc., you'll pretty much get an idea of how we license our products. I got another one here. I notice it's, do you guys support Ubuntu and Debian as your management packs? That is definitely on our roadmap, Debian and Ubuntu, because there are a lot of LAMP implementations that are particularly running on Debian, in some cases Ubuntu. And that is definitely something we'll be releasing in the new coming year, support for Debian. Right now we support Red Hat and SUSE variants. Red Hat Enterprise in particular. The Linux management packs that Microsoft ship do support Debian and Ubuntu, and particularly in the 2012 versions of Operations Manager. So yes, we will be targeting support for both MySQL and Apache running on Debian variants. People have managed to do so unofficially with our management packs, if you will. So they do work on Debian and Ubuntu, but we'll be providing official support for that in the upcoming releases. I got another one here, Jonah, for cost of the management packs, particularly MySQL and Apache. What would be the cost of those?
Pricing is unique to each customer's environment, and I'll be happy to discuss and answer any questions about the unique pricing for your environment after the webinar concludes.
And I got another one here. It says, what versions of Apache and MySQL do you support? Right now we support version 2.0 and 2.2 of Apache. And for MySQL, we support 5.0, 5.1, 5.5, and 5.6 versions of MySQL. And again, that's running on, for Linux platforms, running on Red Hat and SUSE platforms and CentOS, and unofficially Debian and Ubuntu. Okay, I don't see any. Do you see any other questions there, Jonah? I'm okay here.
It looks okay to me as well.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. And again, if anybody would like a more thorough demonstration or have more technical questions, or even want to do a trial, make sure you contact us, and in particular Jonah here at with our sales department, and we'll arrange either a live demonstration or technical information any technical information that you may need. Thanks, everyone.